Aftershave, and thank you very much for joining me for today's head shave. Don't think we'll do a face shave today. We'll stick with the head. That way we can chat a little bit while we're doing that. It's a little bit easier than running a straight razor across your face and trying to have a conversation. So let's get right into this, shall we? Through the Fire Fine Craft Fresh Powder. Right there. There's the label right there. As you can see, you may or may not know, they are car-based. They do all their stuff with different type of car themes. They're big car buffs over there Through the Fire Fine Craft. So again, fresh powder right there. It's tallow based. It's in the high octane base. Now, what do you mean by high octane? Well, that contains triple butters, lanolin, and goat's milk, which separates it from her standard shave soap base, which is also good, but this stuff is off the charts. This was just released in this past December, and I've been using it for a little bit. As you can see, there's a standard soap color right there. And it does have a powdery scent to it. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Tuscany Oud or Tuscan Oud from Razor Rock. It's a similar scent. If you've ever smelled that, it's kind of like an Italian cologne. Anyway, this particular soap is available at ttffcraft.com. Visit them, check them out. All right, the notes on this are Cedar, Musk, Neroli, Tonka, and Stryax. So that's not a scent note you see very often. I really can't describe it to you, but I can tell you it's in this. This scent, as far as I'm concerned, is definitely an 8 off the scent strength scale. It gives it kind of a, like I said, a powdery Italian cologne. That's kind of the best I can describe this as. Very, very nice. But that's the scent. And as far as the shave is concerned, we do have the matching aftershave. We'll go over that in a little bit. Before we get into that, let's talk about the holiday of the day. Today's national holiday of the day is Mardi Gras. That's right, otherwise known as Fat Tuesday. Folks, it is called Fat Tuesday because, well, it is the last night that you could eat a bunch of crap before the Lenten sacrifice. More on that is a great informative website called google.com. You want to know more about Lenten? Check it out yourself. All right, moving on to the rest of the gear. Let's talk about what we got here. We got all kinds of stuff here. Well, as far as the aftershave is concerned, we did talk about that. We're going to go into the little bit of Thayer's Witch Hazel in the JD bottle. We'll hit that up. But we also got ourselves a pre-soaked Badger Knot from West Coast Shave. West Coast Shave right there. It's got a blue acrylic handle there. It's very nice. Got the little two-tone action going on. It's a nice heavy brush. This knot is fantastic. I've been a big fan of it since I've used it from day one. Now, none of this, of course, is going to help you out at all unless we have a razor. Blackland Dart. There it is right there. It is a closed comb, as you can see. With the bar on there. This is actually a very aggressive little razor. And speaking of aggressive versus non-aggressive, open comb versus closed comb, we're going to talk about that a little bit too. We're going to throw a Paul Silver blade in that puppy. And for those that really care, it's on our third use for the blade. All right, so we've got all this stuff set up here. We're going to throw a sample of the soap into our shave bowl. We're going to lather it up, and we're going to get this get a couple of passes going while we talk about closed comb versus open comb. We'll be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. As you can see, all whipped up, ready to go. Really, really nice peaks we got going on here. Got a whole bunch of stuff in the bowl. Maintains the scent, nice and strong. Scent hasn't changed at all. I can still pick up the same amounts of notes in there. Interestingly enough, Neroli for me tends to stand out a lot in soaps. In this one, it doesn't. Neroli for me tends to be kind of a pucker type of scent. Kind of soury. Not as sour like sour milk, sour like Sour Patch Kid sour. Or maybe even sweet tarts. It's very sweet, like sweet sour type of thing. And I found that in this particular scent, although it's in there, it's really not, it's not that, it doesn't take on that kind of persona at all. It's really nice. So anyway, just talking about the scent a little bit. All right, so as we were talking about earlier, there's definitely a lot of opinions out there, closed comb versus open comb. What's better, what's not? Well, I mean, obviously it comes down to personal preference, and since my personal preference is the one that I know best, we're going to talk about mine. My personal preference, I tend to prefer open comb for a couple of reasons. One, it tends to be easier to shave with for me as far as maintenance is concerned. Maintenance during the shave itself. And what I mean by that is I don't have to rinse the razor as much. That's my experience. I'm sure there are people out there that will argue otherwise, but my experience is that I don't have to rinse the razor as much. The lather tends to build up on it or kind of slide through it a little bit more. And that's that. The other thing is aggression. Now, there are a lot of people out there that will tell you open comb automatically by design equals more aggression. And that's not the case. I have razors of all different kinds of shapes and sizes. And my aggressive razors, for example, this one here by Above the Tie, in my opinion is rather aggressive, but it's closed comb. So I also have this Maggard head here that's open comb, and it's not aggressive at all. So for me it's more about blade exposure that makes a razor aggressive or not aggressive. Now, so why do I also associate open comb with aggressiveness? Well, I do, but not because of the way that it's made. I do because it's just razor makers tend to put a lot of what I call what's called blade exposure. For me, blade exposure equals aggressiveness. Most of the time. I say most of the time because I do have a razor that goes against that. But for me, most of the time, if I want an aggressive razor, I look for something that has blade exposure. Like these Yaqui heads have a ton of blade exposure, and they are super aggressive. So that's where I go with that. Blade exposure for me tends to equal super, super aggressive. The more blade exposure, the more aggressive it is. Now, I have also noticed that there seems to be a trend with razor makers. Whenever a razor is made open comb, it tends to be more towards the aggressive side because they tend to make it with more blade exposure. Now, there are exceptions to that, like this Maggard head I was just showing you earlier, but like the Beast heads from Yaqui, I have noticed that with the open combs, they tend to put a lot of blade exposure on their razors. So if I'm going for something, if I was to suggest to somebody, if you're looking for a more aggressive shaver, I can give you specific type of razors, sure. But I would also tell you to look at the open comb side of razors because they tend to be more aggressive. Not because they're open comb, but because they tend to get built with more blade exposure. Just the way it is, in my opinion. Now, I'm sure everybody, not everybody, I'll be getting some messages later on after the release of this video saying, well, I have this razor and it's super aggressive and it's closed comb. Well, that may be the case. But my experience is generally that's not always the case. I mean, look at this thing. This thing is, however, is super aggressive, but that's because of the blade exposure. It has nothing to do with being open or closed combed. But most of the razors that I have that are open comb tend to have a lot of blade exposure. So that's where I would go with that. If you're looking for something that's not so aggressive, something more mild, again, I would probably steer you towards closed comb because they tend to have less blade exposure by the way they're made. I don't necessarily know if that's done on purpose. I just know that it is, for me. And again, having said all that, there are razors out there that will put that theory to bed, and I understand that. These are just generalized statements. It's kind of like when somebody says to you, well, tallow is better than vegan. You can't go wrong with a tallow soap. Well, let me tell you, there's a whole bunch of tallow-based companies out there that I can tell you can go wrong with, despite the fact that they're tallow. So that's my thought on open comb versus closed comb. Ultimately, it is going to be your decision, and it is what works best for you. Whatever you decide to go with, as long as you're having a great shave and getting the closeness that you desire for you, then I don't care if you're shaving with a chainsaw, as long as it works for you. I've seen people on YouTube shave with an axe. That's not something I would recommend, and it's not something I'm going to try. But, hey, if it works for them, then if you have any questions, ask them. See what I did there? Yeah. All right. Well, okay, we're going to rinse our head here. Oh, man. Fantastic passes. 2 great passes. I think we're going to go ahead and finish this shave up, and we'll jump right into the post-shave. So we'll be right back, guys. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Here we are going with the post-shave. A little bit of witch hazel in the JD bottle here. Almost done with this peach scent. I know those of you that have been following my channel, I've been saying that for over a year. It's just a nasty, I just don't like it. Thankfully, it goes away real fast. I just like the way witch hazel works on my skin in conjunction with the aftershave. All right. Almost there, though. Almost gone. All right. Witch hazel is complete. Now, as far as the scent is concerned on this, like I did say earlier, it is an 8 out of 10. It stayed that way throughout the shave. This base is fantastic. It retains water really, really well. You add a ton of water to it, it can take it. It's a good, slick soap. Very, very slick. Make sure you got an Allen block on standby for those slick fingers. I would definitely compare this, in my opinion, to an Ariana and Evans base. It's right up there with it. This is a high-end base, folks. It works really, really well. All right. There are people out there that will probably argue with me on that. I don't care. This is how I feel. All right. Yeah, this scent is nice. I'm going to throw a little bit on the beard just because I like it. Yeah, the aftershave is very hydrating. It's not too much. Like sometimes if I get one of those aftershaves is almost too hydrating. Later on in the day, I'll feel my skin. It feels almost greasy in a way. This doesn't do that. It just makes the skin feel soft and it doesn't dry out, especially during the winter. These New England winters, man, they're rough on my noggin here. So anyway, but folks, all right, that is the shave. I highly recommend this soap if you want to try something from Through the Fire Fine Craft. Their high octane base is a fantastic way to go, and this scent won't disappoint. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you like this video and have a comment about it or any other of my videos, feel free to comment in the comment section below. If you like this video enough to like it, then like it. Give it a little thumbs up there. That would help. And if you haven't subscribed but wish to do so, please do that, but make sure you knock that bell. That way you get a notification every time we do a new video here at CD Shaving, because, folks, I do not follow a schedule, and you don't want to miss this. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. We'll see you guys and girls in the next video.